Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. We are very happy to welcome you today with us. My name is Alina. I'm an Education USA advisor, and I represent Education USA Regional. So we are here an enthusiastic young team of advisors who are helping our students in the region from 11 countries, by the way, Eastern Europe and Central Asia, to prepare for their application for their undergraduate or postgraduate degree. And this month and every month, we are providing webinars on topics which are very useful for them, and really hope that you will enjoy all of them. And for the rest of this month, I really advise you to go on our website and check for the rest of the webinars that we have planned. And as you know, if you've followed us last week, this month we are dedicating it to the pre-departure orientation, and we decided to organize them towards the perspective of three sites. One of the perspective of students, of the advisors, and of course of the U.S. institutions. So this week we're going to discuss with our advisors from the team, and specifically with Yulia and with Victor, who are advisors with a long experience, and advisors who have a lot of successful stories of students who have who've got in the United States. And they are going to share today, and they have prepared the presentation here, which will help you and will give you a better understanding about the process of the preparation process for your studies in the US, and specifically the departure and everything else. So I'll just give the floor first to Yulia and then to Victor. Maybe you can both introduce yourself and say a bit about your experience, and then we can just go on with the presentation.
Sure. Alina, thank you for the brief introduction. It's lovely to be here today, and honestly, this is a very special moment for us because we know that some students who are watching were also our advisees. I believe it's true for Victor and me, so it's nice to be a part of this session. My name is Yulia. I'm an Education USA advisor with 7 years of experience working with Education USA, and I'll pass it to Victor.
My name is Victor. I'm Education USA advisor. I have been working for a long time, since 1996. Congratulations to all of you. You did a great job, and we're here to help you for your trip to the US.
Thank you so much to our dear advisors. And for those who have joined us now, I advise you to specify your questions in the chat. We will have a Q&A session, and we'll answer the questions that you have addressed in advance, and also those that you will give us during the live session. So good luck to our advisor, and yeah, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So today we will actually cover, I would say, 4 very basic and important parts that we wanted to highlight when we talk about pre-departure. We'll start with a brief conversation about visas. Then we'll talk about the travel part, what you should be expecting while you travel, how to pack, what to do after you arrive, and we'll talk a bit about academic life, the differences of academic life and other cultures in the US, and a bit of about life on campus and culture. We will cover these topics briefly, so as Alina said, please ask questions in the chat if you would like to learn more. All right, so let's start with visa. So first of all, I have to kind of like publish this brief verbal disclaimer that I know that a lot of you already have visas. Congratulations on that. But some of you I know that are only in the application stage or trying to book an appointment. So this part will help you navigate this process. So if you already have a visa, just sit back and relax. This part will take us about 10 minutes. If you are just applying for a visa, I believe this part will be very useful for you. So first of all, you can start applying for a visa right after you receive your I-20 form. So you know that you receive your acceptance letter, you figure out the financial aid and the ways to fund your education, then you submit all the necessary documents and you receive your I-20 form. So after you receive your I-20 form, then you can start the procedure. And on the next slide, you'll also see some useful notes that I would like to mention before we proceed talking about the documents. So first of all, even if you have your visa, you cannot enter the US earlier than 30 days before your expected date of being on campus. So if you have your I-20 form, you can see that there is a specific date saying that you should arrive by this date, so you can enter the US within the 30 days before that specific date. Also, you can apply for the student visa basically as early as you can, not earlier than 1 year prior. But for most of you, you would usually have a few months before your studies to apply for visa. And we'll proceed to the next slide. And as I said, I-20 form, that is your basic document. Now, once you have your I-20, then you complete the DS-160. Basically, it's a visa application. This form might take a few hours. Sometimes it takes 2 hours, 3 hours for some students to complete. Please be attentive to the technical guidance, because this form might require you to use the specific browser or a specific version of the browser. So make sure you read all of the instructions. Make sure that everything goes smoothly when you complete it, and save all the information. So DS-160 form would ask you for some basic information about your background, the countries you've traveled beforehand, your plans, some information from your I-20 form, like the university representative contact, or which major you're going to study, and when you're going to arrive to the US. So all the basic information, nothing scary, not too complex, just take some time. Once you've completed your visa application, then you would have to proceed to a different portal to book an appointment, to schedule a visa interview. As I said, this is usually a different platform where you register, you fill in the basic information again, you specify the visa type. And what's important to highlight is that once you fill in your DS-160 form, this is when you choose the city of the consulate where you will be having your visa appointment. So make sure that when you book an appointment, it's the specific city, it's a specific country that you've chosen when you completed your DS-160 form. Usually you would apply in your country of residence, or if the consular services are not available in your country of residence, then you would apply in the country that is specified on the official website. So when you book an appointment, first you have to pay a fee. You can usually easily pay it online with a bank card or with a bank money transfer. And then once you're done and you have your payment confirmation, you will have access to the calendar to choose a specific date. Don't worry if there's no date available that would suit your schedule best. We know that sometimes when you try to book in June or July, the dates might be available way later for September. And of course, it's too late for you because you would be expected to show up to campus a bit earlier in August or the end of August. So don't worry, you wouldn't miss your classes. In this case, you can request an expedited appointment. This is not a regular procedure, but this is the procedure available to some visa categories. And F1 visa, the student visa that you're applying for, as an F1 visa applicant, you are eligible for an expedited appointment. In this case, depending on the specific consulate regulations, you would either fill in a specific form or you would write an email. And usually these kind of appointments, if they are backed up with a specific student status or specific reasoning, they would be, this kind of request would be met, and you would receive the earlier date to attend an appointment. And when you attend a visa interview, it's also important that you put together the specific set of documents. But before you start preparing for your visa interview, it's also important that you pay your service fee. Actually, you don't have to do it in that order. You may also pay your service fee before you pay your visa application fee, as long as this fee is paid the certain number of days before your actual visa appointment. You pay service only once. It's usually $350 US fee. You enter the basic information. You enter your you enter your I-20 form information, and you would also have to bring the payment confirmation to your visa interview. And during the next slide, we will share the list of the documents that you are usually required to bring to your interview. However, this list is not limited. So if you think that there are other documents that would support your case, feel free to bring them as well. Passport, of course, that's the basics, right? So you bring your passport, make sure it's valid. So usually, well, it's required that it's valid at least 6 months, but of course you will want it to be valid for, well, the term of your study. So make sure that if you need to apply for a new passport in your country, make sure you do that in advance. And of course, you would have to upload the photo. You would also be required to bring a photograph to a scheduled visa interview. The confirmation, the DS-160 form, after you complete it, you will receive a barcode. You are required to print that barcode and bring it to the interview. I-20 form. The I-20 form, as I said, that's the basic document. You bring it to the interview. That's the document that you will be bringing when you will be traveling for your summer holidays or winter break if you leave the country. So that's your basic document. You keep it for the rest of your studies. Then the visa fee payment receipt and as I've already mentioned, the service payment receipt, and also transcripts and any financial documents that you think would help you verify the availability of funds. And one I-20 form would have the specific number, usually under the personal contribution or under family contribution. And this amount, this number, this is the amount of money you are expected to show that you have available to you, either with the help of a sponsor, your parents, or available to you specifically, that you would be able to contribute towards your studies. If you have received full funding, I know some students who are watching have received full coverage. In that case, you're not required to show any specific amount, but it's always a good idea to bring some bank statements or other financial documents to support your case. Usually, I encourage students to also bring your award letter. So if you receive financial aid and the basic acceptance letter, and you do not really submit these documents during a visa interview, so you bring these documents. But if the visa officer would need any of these documents, they would ask you directly. So you just come to your appointment and listen to the further instructions. And we'll proceed with the next slide. And a lot of students now reach out to us asking, how do I prepare for the interview? Actually, first of all, you just prepare very honest answers. So you have to be honest in what information you're going to provide to the visa officer, and remember your purpose of the visit. And your main purpose is education, right? This is a non-immigrant visa, F1 student visa, meaning that you are going to the US to receive the education. And you might be asked questions about why specifically this institution, why specifically you want to study in the US, what you plan to do after you complete your studies. So you also should be able to demonstrate the intention to return to your own country after you complete your studies. If you are an undergraduate student, don't worry, you are not required to present the plan for the next 5 years or 10 years. Nobody expects you to have clear professional goals yet, but you're just expected to provide the general answers and the general vision of what you want to do with your education after you complete it. All right. And that's basically it with visa. As you already know, you submit your application, you schedule an appointment, you show up to the appointment. Of course, you prepare for the appointment, and hopefully after that, you would receive your visa and proceed with traveling to the US. And Victor will cover that part.
Thank you very much, Yulia. Dear folks, your journey does not begin when you arrive in the United States. Your journey begins right now. So I'm going to share with you very important tips which will really help you to reach the country without any problems. Before we talk about your flight, let's discuss how to prepare for your trip to the United States, because good preparation will make your arrival much easier and less stressful. First of all, stay in touch with your university. Even after you get your visa and book your flight, keep checking your email. Universities often send important information before your arrival. They may ask you to complete forms, register for orientation, and confirm your arrival day. By the way, you will have a lot of different orientations. Please be patient, but listen carefully of everything which will be shared with you. So many universities also offers airport pickup for new international students. If this service is available, I recommend you using it. It will be much easier for you, less stressful, especially if it is your first trip to the US. University staff or student volunteers will meet you at the airport and help you to get to the campus. For the first timers, please follow this advice. It will be really less stressful. If your university does not offer airport pickup, plan your transportation very thoroughly before you leave your home. It will decrease your stress. Know how we'll get from the airport to your university or your accommodation. Ask advices from students. You may use a shuttle, public transportation, or even taxi. And please prepare some $1 papers or cash, because sometimes you will need cash, and if you don't have it, it will be a problem. Think about that right now. Next, now, when you need to go after you arrive, every university has a different check-in process. Some students report to the International Student Services first. Others check at their residence hall. Read your university instructions very carefully before that. If you are not sure, ask this before travel. Finally, try to arrive on time. This is very important. You will need to attend orientation and complete your immigration check-in before the classes begin. So during multiple orientations in the university, you will find everything about university life, about all parts of your student's life, health insurance, campus safety, everything. It's also a great chance to meet new people and make friends. And the last tip: if your flight is delayed or there is a travel plans change, contact your university as soon as possible. They understand that you can delay, that it may happen, but they need to know when you will arrive. So next slide, please. Regarding luggage, there are a lot of tips. I try to be more concrete because good packing can make your trip easier and help you avoid problems at the airport. First, check carefully your airline's baggage rules. I really suggest you to have a small device which can weight your luggage. It is very cheap, like up to $10 on a small battery, but please keep it with you. You can check your luggage, the weight everywhere, and be less stressful before somebody will weigh your luggage. So every airline has different limits for the number, size, and weight of bags. If your luggage is too heavy, you may have to pay extra fee, and they are very big. Please avoid this. Also, they do not accept cash. You may need to pay by card, and your card cannot be working for some reason, so it may affect your travel. So please check airline's website before you start packing. Try to travel light. Many students want to bring many things from home, but you can buy everything in the United States and even cheaper and better quality. So don't do that. Only those things which are the most important for you. So remember that you will probably carry your luggage yourself. So bring only what you need for the first few weeks. That's enough. Very important advice. please tag every luggage with your name and full contact information, phone number, all addresses. Put these addresses everywhere. Please mark your luggage, because sometimes they looks very similar, and you can just miss your luggage and pick up another luggage or something like that. Don't forget that at the airport, it is very frequently happens when you can lost your luggage, or airline can lost your luggage. So remember about that, and be prepared. Never accept items from other people to put in your bag. This is the safety. This is very important. And if you want to lock your luggage, you can do that, but you must use TCA approved lock, because security officers can open this lock. If they cannot open your luggage, they just broke it, and that's all. So think about that. And keep important items in your carry-on bag, like your passport with visa, immigration documents, money, and some expensive things like laptop and other stuff. Remember, check-in rules is a priority. Label your luggage and be prepared that your luggage can be lost. Next slide, please. Carry-on bag. This is the bag that stays with you during the flight. Pack it if your checked luggage may be delayed for a day or two. Be prepared. I appeared in such situation many times, and I know what I'm saying. It is very uncomfortable, and sometimes is even dangerous, can be dangerous to your health. The most important items are your travel documents. Keep your passport, boarding pass, admissions letter, and immigration documents such as I-20, DS-2090 with you. Never, please never put these documents in your checked luggage. If you have original academic documents such as transcripts or diplomas, keep them with you as well. And one important advice, please bring one extra set of clothes, including underwear and socks, with you, because it may happen, especially if you have several changes of your flight, that you may lost your luggage. You can also bring an empty bottle of water and some snacks for the flight. Why empty? Because you can fill out with the water at the airport. This is very popular in the US. When you will fly through Europe, you will find that sometimes bottle of water will cost you €5 or something like that. So this is quite expensive, and you can save your money with using that. It is also useful to have US dollars in cash and a small notebook and pen, just in case if you will need to write some information. I also suggest you to take a picture of your bag, of what is inside, because if something will happen and you lost it, you will need to explain what is inside. And this picture sometimes help you to get better reimbursement. And please do not afraid if your luggage will be damaged. For example, you bought a great Samsonite, very expensive, and it was damaged after your flight. Don't be afraid. You can register this damage right after the flight, and you will receive reimbursement. I did that several times and it works. So don't worry about that. The only problem that you must stay at the arrival zone and do not leave arrival zone in order to prepare this request. Next slide, please. Next slide. No, please return if with transit flight. Yeah. If you have transit flight, it makes your trip more complicated. Many students do not fly directly to their destination in the United States. You may have one or two connecting flights. If this is your first international trip, do not worry, but be prepared. The most important thing is to stay calm and pay attention. Before you leave your home, please double check your itinerary. I really suggest you to check airport arrival and departure timetable just to double check your departure time. Sometimes it may change. When you arrive at the airport, I suggest you to arrive for international flight 2.5 hours and even 3 hours before the flight. Look for signs to your gate, security, and other areas. Be very attentive. Do not share your attention to shops or something like that. Be focused only on your trip. Sometimes you may face that there will be huge unexpected lines on your way. Sometimes it will be really very stressful, and I appeared many times in such situation because large airports are very overcrowded. So try to be as more organized as possible. Watch for your carry-on bag. Do not forget it. Never leave your luggage unattended. And do not hesitate to ask any people, any security or airport staff if you have any urgent questions. So all these advices are very important. I tell you true that I faced in a very different situation. And if we will have more time, I will tell you about these situations, which were very, very interesting and sometimes even dangerous. So next slide, please. We will be talking about arrival. Before arrival, Yulia, it's also my part, right? Arrival. Yeah. Oh, I cannot hear. Yeah. We will be talking about arrival. Please be prepared that arrival is also in some situation is stressful because not just about immigration. Many students worry about immigration. If you have the correct documents and answer questions honestly, there is usually nothing to worry about. Before landing, listen to all instruction from the flight crew. Don't bring any food from the aircraft with you. You may face with problems in customs. Any food, even apple, do not bring nothing from the aircraft. After the leaving plane, follow signs for immigration, passport control arrivals, and please choose the line for international arrivals. When you meet the immigration officer, have your passport, visa, I-20 prepared. The officer may ask you simple questions like, welcome to the United States. Why are you coming to the United States? Which university you will attend? What will you study? Where will you live? So don't worry, answer clearly, honestly, and briefly. No jokes, please, no jokes. There are no more questions for international students, so take it easy. During the process, your fingerprints and photo will be taken. Be prepared, just follow instructions. One important tip, before you get out of the plane, before the landing, I know that it's maybe not, please visit toilet, because when you will arrive, the line may be for 2 hours and even more. So this is important. I saw many not good situation with this, and do not take any pictures when you will stay in line. It is prohibited. Sometimes officer may ask you to get to secondary inspection. It may happen. Don't worry about that. Don't panic. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong. They may simply need more information or want to double check some documents. Stay calm and answer all questions honestly. So, you may need to show all your documents during arrival, so keep them very well organized. Usually, I keep my documents on a short pocket, which is on my neck, so I can see it, I can feel it, and because I'm responsible for these documents, so I try to use this pocket on my neck during every my travel. I would suggest you to use the same because it is very safe. Next slide, please. So, guys, your first 72 hours in the USA. I would say that the first thing you will survive, it's a jet lag. Jet lag, it's your condition after a long flight, after changing many time zones. And you will probably not sleep well in the plane and you will be very tired. Be prepared for that. The jet lag may last for a couple of days, sometimes 2 or 3. So, day 1 is your arrival day. After immigration, collect your luggage. Again, if your luggage will be broken, please make a request in a broken luggage office, or if your luggage has disappeared, also made a request immediately and put all descriptions. After a long trip, your first priority is to rest, drink water, eat, and adjust to the new time zone. Feeling tired of jet lag is absolutely normal. So during the first days, learn your campus and your new area. Find important places such as International Students Office, your residence hall, dining locations, the health center, and nearby stores. One of the most important steps is checking in with the International Students Office. This is required for your immigration status. Every university has its own process, so follow the instructions carefully and complete all steps before the deadline. Yes, you will attend international students' orientations, and this is a great opportunity to know everything. Again, you will have a lot of orientations. And remember these 3 most important things: arrive safely, complete your university check-in, and attend orientation. These steps will help you to start your studies successfully. And the next slide, please. Now about health and insurance. Dear students, just one case from my story. I traveled to the US and participated in one of the professional development conferences, and I had an insurance case when I arrived to the hospital for 1 day. 1 day. You know, the bill for 1 day was 15,000 and something dollars. Imagine $15,000 for 1 day. So be very careful with insurance. Please follow all instructions from the university. And of course, during your travel period, please have your insurance as well. Medicine in the United States is very, very expensive. So if possible, visit all your doctors before your trip, before your travel. Take care of any health problems, especially dentists or ophthalmologists, because in the US, every step will be calculated and it is very expensive. If you take prescription medication, bring enough medicine for the first weeks. Have all papers with you with English translation. Keep it in your carry-on bag with your name on it. It is also a good idea to bring a copy of your prescription or a letter from your doctor. Bring all your vaccination records, all other important medical documentation, because every step, every procedure in the US will cost you money. After you arrive, learn where the student health center is and what help it provides. For common problems such as cold or minor injury, the student health center or urgent care is usually the right place to go. Remember that the emergency room is for serious situation. If you have a life-threatening emergency, call just 911. Do not wait until small health problem becomes a bigger one. If you need help, contact your student health center or international student office. So for sure, you will have a lot of advices from your university staff and from your advisors when you arrive. And the next slide, please. Next slide. Where do you get medical help? So the healthcare system may be different from your home country. It will be really very different. So it is important to know where to go if you need help. Otherwise, you will need to pay a lot of money. So the first place to know is the campus health center. This is usually the best option for common problems such as fever, allergies, minor injury. Student health centers are designed for students and often low cost or covered by your insurance. I recommend finding the health center during your first week on campus. If the health center is closed or you need help quickly, you can go to urgent care. This is for problems that need attention soon but are not emergencies, such as high fever, infection, or other situation. A primary care physician is your regular doctor, and you can visit it for checkups, vaccinations, ongoing health problems. I don't want to go into details, deep details, because you will receive all this information when you will arrive. And please also be very careful with the medication which you are going to bring with you. Some medications which you can buy without official papers from a doctor may be prohibited in the United States. I know that such medication like Carvalol, Valacardin from our region, they are definitely prohibited because they contain some it is impossible to bring this medication through the border, through the customs. Please double check this information with the US Customs if you will bring some medication with you. So guys, your journey does not begin when you arrive. Your journey begins right now. A lot of advices we have for all of you, but my time is limited. If you will have additional questions, please ask me. And now I pass the floor to my colleague, Yulia, to continue. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Victor. These are some good tips. Well, indeed, it might be somewhat stressful to travel and to prepare for the travel, but we believe that if you follow all of these advice and if you stay organized, everything is going to be smooth for you. So now we're going to talk about the academic culture. And actually, in this topic, we will cover not only academic culture, but rather a bit of a campus life, a bit of campus logistics, some basic cultural differences. So it's going to be a bit more comprehensive, but pretty brief. So, first of all, when we talk about cultural differences in general, it is a generalization. So, it doesn't mean like everyone is like that in the US or in your country. So, these are generalizations, but every person and every situation is different. So, generally, culturally, actually in the US, it's quite common in academic environment to be outspoken and to share their opinion. I know in a lot of countries in our region, it's common in the universities or in schools to take approach where you read the material, you submit a test, you earn a grade. In the US, it's highly encouraged to raise your hand in class. Professors conduct a lot of discussions. And a lot of classes would be centered around the specific project, a specific team project, where you would be expected to talk to people, to plan and to use a lot of soft skills along with gaining new specific knowledge. So once you are in the US, try to participate, try to raise your hand, try to speak a lot, ask questions. It's totally okay to ask questions. It's normal if you feel like if you're that your question is very basic, other people might already know the answer. It's totally fine to go ahead and ask, especially given that you are a new person to the campus, a new person to the country. Since US is such a diverse country, it's a multiply of different cultures. It is normal for people to ask questions, to be different, and in general, students would tolerate your different approaches, or again, your questions or different perspectives. At the same time, make sure you are also respectful. It's okay to express a different opinion, but you have to be respectful to parts of the opinions of others. And there's a difference between criticizing somebody or expressing your own opinion. So make sure you do the second. And personal boundaries in general are also a big thing in the US. So you will notice that even basic things, when you stay in line in the store, people will kind of have more space, give each other more space. Personal space is very respected. It's not okay to touch people you don't know. So it's normal to ask, can I give you a hug, for example, versus to go straight for a hug right away. And also taking pictures, recording videos. If you plan to actually not even publish something, if you plan to record somebody or take a picture of somebody, make sure you ask for permission. And if you plan to publish this content, make sure you also ask for permission. So it's not okay to film or take pictures and publish without consent. That is actually strictly strictly not encouraged, I would say, and would make a lot of people unhappy, especially if you do record professors. Again, make sure you don't publish this content if not specifically permitted by a professor. And being on time, generally attending, it's important that you show up on time. And culturally, different countries might perceive time differently. For somebody being 1 minute late or 2 minutes late, it's okay, not for the US. It's not common in the US in higher ed institutions not to let students in. Usually, if you're late, you would be admitted to the classroom. But for example, in high school, it's actually totally normal for the teacher not to let a student in after a certain period of time. Usually they take attendance like within first 10 or 15 minutes of the class. And if you do not show up within that period, if you're absent, you're absent. And usually attendance is a part of your grade. So you want to be on time and you want to attend. And we'll move on to the next slide. And we'll just remind some basic language. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So you have probably already declared a major, or you have been admitted as undecided and will declare your major during a first or second year. But anyway, a major, this is something that you plan to study and focus on during your studies academically. Minor, actually, this is something like something that you're going to study additionally is like a second focus. And credits, this is not about like credit cards, loans. This is not about money. Credits is actually about academic credits. So usually a course would have 3 or 4 credits. 4 credits, these would be like the courses that would usually either require more time or be more complex. And it's common for students to take up to 18 credits per semester. 18 is actually sometimes too much. Usually students would stick with 12 or 15, especially during your first year. You would want to also participate in campus life and you would want to get to know new people. So I would generally recommend to talk to your advisor and make sure that during your first semester you kind of like give yourself some space to adjust. But anyway, every course you take would sort of like cost a certain number of credits, and basically, in order for you to graduate with a specific major, you are required to have the certain number of credits within that field, like with a specific subjects. So basically, you might choose to double major. In that case, you would have to discuss that with your academic advisor, meaning that in order to graduate, you are expected to have this number of credits. This number of credits would be dedicated for one major, and this number of credits would be dedicated to the second major. Same with minor. So in order to complete a minor, you would also be required to complete a certain number of credits. So basically, that is like a unit. You would measure all the classes you take. This is nothing to worry about. It might be different from something you're used to in your school or in your university if you're a graduate student, but you will have an academic advisor assigned to you, and this is the person who will help you select the classes and sign up for the classes that are connected to your major. GPA, grade point average, it's a bit different. The scale is a bit different than for some countries in our region. It's 4.0 in the US, but I'm sure you're familiar with the scale when you applied. And syllabus, this is actually might be a new term that is introduced. The syllabus is a document that is introduced by each professor in the beginning of the class. And this document would outline the topics that you would study during the course, the kind of assignments you would be required to submit, and what is taken into account when the professor would evaluate your work. Usually, there would be very specific criteria like attendance, participation, the final project, showing up on time. So every professor would have their own evaluation approach, but you would know it from the beginning what is important for specific professor. And you will find that every professor would actually prioritize different things. So make sure you study the syllabus and make sure you follow the deadlines on your syllabus. Office hours, that's also a great opportunity for you to get some individual communication with your professor. This is a separate time after class. Usually every professor would announce it either in syllabus or just during the class, or it would be published somewhere, so you would know that there is an office hour at a specific time with a specific professor, a specific location, usually their assigned room. And you can bring any questions related to your class. You can even sometimes bring your work and maybe get some additional feedback or consult regarding the certain grades you've received. So again, this is a chance for you to talk to the professor individually, build some connections, and also learn more. So make sure that you use this opportunity this unique opportunity that is offered by the US university. Let's move on to the next slide. And so I've already mentioned that you would be selecting your classes. Also, this is pretty unique to a lot of countries in our region. That kind of makes me excited to talk about the fact that you get to select your classes. But remember that there is a specific number of classes that can be electives, and there is a specific number of classes that have to be a major or major and minor related if you choose a minor. So before choosing the classes, you will absolutely have to consult with your academic advisor. And this person would usually tell you which classes you are required to take and which classes are your level or maybe higher level. Sometimes you might even pass some prerequisites in order to attend a specific class, if it's like some sort of an advanced placement class, or more complex class. You might have to take a prerequisite class or pass a test before you do that. That often actually happens with language classes if you plan to take a higher level of the language. So usually you would sign up online, you would register for a class online, and actually there are two scenarios that might happen. Is that while there's a seat available, you book a class, that's it, you attend. But sometimes there might already be no seat available. That happens with very popular classes, or especially if you register somewhat later in the process. So in that case, you'd have to either talk to your advisor or choose a different class that is either an analogy of that requirement, or maybe you would choose a different class and choose to register for that specific one next semester, maybe earlier in the process. So usually US universities would give you an opportunity to actually drop a class or change a class within the first week or two. This is when you attend a class and you try to understand whether it's the best fit for you. Sometimes you might start attending and understand this is not something you wanted, maybe. So in this case, you still can talk to your advisor, talk to the professor, and either choose a different class if there is seat available, or well, just remove this class from your schedule. That's pretty much it. It might sound complicated because there's so many steps you need to take, but usually you just go online, talk to your advisor, book classes. That's it. You repeat it every semester. And we'll move to the next slide. And here I would like to briefly discuss the support that will be available to you on campus. And there's a lot. So I've already talked about academic advisor. This is the person who you would reach out regarding any questions related to your academic track, to your major, to enrolling in the classes. And if you would have questions about your status, F1 student status, or visa, or work on campus, work off campus, any authorizations, OPT, CPT, we'll talk about that later. So you would talk to the International Student Office. They would be your priority contact when you arrive, and they also will be the ones who you want to be in touch throughout the entire stay in the US. And usually all of the campuses, at least most of the campuses, would have some sort of a writing and tutoring center. So especially you being an international student, having said that, I mean, English would be your second language or sometimes third language. You might want to use those services available, get some tutoring in writing or some other tutoring in other subjects. And writing centers usually will support students on the resources on how to do the research, how to format your research properly, how to write an academic essay. They talk about academic writing in general. Usually there also might be a career center. For example, if you're wondering what you want to do with your major or what you can do with your major, you can talk to a career center representative. And they're pretty open sometimes at looking at your resume or CV and helping you identify the track. Also, as an international student, Victor already mentioned that jet lag. So once you arrive, you might have jet lag, but also let's talk a bit about the culture shock, because when you arrive, everything is new, right? Everything is new, exciting. Sometimes you might be nervous, but a lot of people face culture shock, and that's something normal. You might identify that you have it, you might not identify that you have it. So basically, this is the feeling that everything is new. You gain the new experiences, and then it might go down the curve. So everything is exciting, and then it might get a little bit sad. You might start missing home, or you might start comparing your current experience with your own home. So in this case, again, it's normal, but in this case, something I would encourage you to do to start to sign up for different activities on campus and try to be as engaged as you can, meet new people. And usually this is a curve, as I said. So usually it might be like super happy, then sad, but then you would get back to normal and just identify the things you like in your culture and the things you like in the US culture, and try to kind of like merge the two worlds. In any case, if you feel like you would benefit from counseling, usually counseling services are available on campus. Whatever kind of things you're going through in life, usually these are free services. So you might start talking to the counselor on campus to help identify the ways to support you. All right. And also, since I already started talking about culture shock, I would also mention about homesickness. So, not all the students experience homesickness, but some do. So, sometimes during holiday seasons, for example, you might feel like you're missing home. That's totally fine. Again, try to get involved with the community campus activities and try to be surrounded with fun activities and the people who can support you. We're going to move to the next slide and we'll talk about work. I've mentioned CPT, OPT. So CPT, that's curriculum practical training. And as you know, that by default on your student visa, you are only allowed to work for 20 hours or less. So basically, you can work only on campus for 20 hours or less. Any job available on campus. You can work in a coffee shop, in the writing center, in the gym, anywhere you find the job if you want to. But CPT is still under 20 hours usually, but this is a part of your academic program. So if your academic program includes like an internship, then it either paid or unpaid. But if there's work that is part of your academic program, that's like a separate permission. That's CPT, curriculum practical training. You would usually apply for CPT and you would talk to the International Student Office and you would get this permission to work off campus. Usually these internships are off campus. So in order to work off campus, you have to have a separate permission. Also, you might be allowed to work more than 20 hours, up to 40 hours during summer break when there are no classes. But again, you would need to receive a separate permission for that. Also, after you graduate, you might be eligible for OPT, optional practical training. Usually it's 12 months by default. So it means that after you graduate, you would apply for OPT. You usually would have to apply like half a year in advance or at least some month in advance. There's no guarantee it's going to be granted, but if it is, you're also expected to have a job or an internship that is your major related. Again, OPT, this is your major related because this is basically you gaining the practical experience related to what you studied in the university. And if you are a STEM major, you might be eligible to apply for a so-called OPT extension, which actually is additional 24 months of practical training in the US after your studies. And we'll move on to the next slide. All right, so once you arrive on campus, some of you might already know where you're going to live. You might already either have an apartment on campus or might have started searching the apartment off campus if you're a graduate student. Most of the students who are first year undergraduate students are required to live on campus, so there's no choice for you basically. But if you're a graduate student, in most of the cases, actually there's no space for graduate students to live on campus, so you are most likely going to live off campus. Either way, there are pros and cons to every option, so just try to build on the positive sides. Basically, living on campus in most of the cases is more expensive, but at the same time, you get to be surrounded by the community, you get to have the support of the resident assistant, you get to have a roommate, which is also additional support sometimes, hopefully in most of the cases actually. And you get to commute easier to your classes. If you live off campus, this might be cheaper. You also might get a roommate. For example, if you try to search for a place that you would share, just make sure you keep an eye open for some things like, utilities, whether the utilities are included in the general rent price, whether there is furniture, because most of the apartments in the US would actually be for the rent without the furniture. So you would be required to purchase your own like bed or a couch sometimes. So you would want to ask a question whether there is furniture in the apartment, whether there is internet connection, landline. You probably won't need the phone and the landline, but internet, that's a good question to ask. Just make sure that you are very careful when you read the agreement with the landlord. So whichever you choose, as I said, there are pros and cons to each of these selections, but probably if you're a first-year student, you will be living on campus. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide and continue actually talking about campuses, because campus in the US is basically like a separate town, each campus, even if it's a big city campus. So on the slide, there's like a short classification what type of campus you might have, like urban one, rural one, or a state school, whichever is yours, it's still going to be practically a separate town, because every campus would usually have dormitories, would usually have a library, a dining hall, or some sort of cafeteria. There would be a gym, the different types of fields. There might be like a huge football stadium. If it's a state school, especially, there would be a health center. Victor mentioned that there's usually a way for you to get some basic medical attention on campus. So depending on the type of campus you are going to be based, it might be a more walkable campus. Usually a rural area campus would be the kind where you would get from one building to another pretty quickly. If it's a big city, usually there would be pretty developed transportation in big city, but also some campuses might be less walkable than others. So you might even want to consider, well, renting a car sometimes if you can't drive, or asking for a ride, asking your friends for a ride if you need to drive longer distances, for example, to get groceries or some important events. So certainly before arriving to the US, try to explore your campus virtually and try to identify where you would buy groceries, where your campus building in relation to your dorm or in relation to your apartment, where you would eat out. So try to explore the town and the campus beforehand so that you are ready logistically, and you know the transportation, of course. So we'll move to the next slide, and this slide would actually, looking at this one, there's just one line I want you to remember, one lesson to learn. Just follow the rules and follow the law. Basically, don't break the law. And it's especially important for you because you are in student visa. So for example, while in your country drinking alcohol might be okay if you are 18 years old, in the US it's very strict. You cannot drink alcohol if you are under 21. So no fake IDs, no trying to cheat the system. Absolutely follow the rules, because again, you are on a student visa. Your American friends might, be trying to have fun and try to encourage you to join them. But again, you have to remember that you are here on a different status. Small things like littering, jaywalking, usually you wouldn't get in jail for that, but again, this is breaking the rules. And in the US, as I mentioned before, rules are very respected, so make sure you respect the common space and whatever rules you have received from your campus. Read the local law, because there's federal law and there's state law, so make sure you also study the law of your specific state. Yeah, as easy as it is, don't break the law. Okay, and that would be actually the final message. I know it's a lot of information and you will have a lot of orientations, as Victor said. So, but if you still have questions after this, we would be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Victor. I love the presentation. All these images, and especially the one with the campus. I really hope everyone enjoyed it. So give us your reactions if you liked our presentations. We tried to make it understanding and very similar to how is everything in the States. Victor, you wanted to add something here?
Yeah, you just read my mind, because I have forgotten to mention one important tip regarding frequent flyer program. Your trip to the US is a long distance trip, and you expect that you may travel probably several times home, or even if you will not travel in back, please register yourself before your trip to any available frequent flying program. For example, I traveled by Lufthansa, and the frequent flyer program called Miles and More, and every trip to the United States and back collected miles. Then you can use these miles to upgrade your ticket, for example, from economy class to high-level class, or even you can use these miles, accumulated miles, to buy free tickets. In the US, you will find many frequent flyer programs using different companies. Do not hesitate to spend few minutes to register to these programs. and it will pay you back definitely.
That's a great tip. Thank you so much, Victor. I know Turkish Airlines has the same, so I think mostly all of the big airlines, they would have this. So yes, that's a great tip from Victor. Use that. Okay, so we move now to the Q&A session, which we should start now. Well, some of the questions have been addressed in advance. As you know, the students have registered before this event, and some of them, and I saw just one in the comment, we will also answer this one. So for all those who are still with us live, I know that took longer, but this is a pre-departure orientation, so we are trying to cover everything. And I think the advisors did a great job explaining you in details, and also this image has helped to give an understanding about the processes. So one of the first question is, which items should I pack and which ones should I buy there? And Victor, by the way, mentioned some of about that. He said that some of the things you can buy there. So maybe just give some examples. I know you both mentioned a lot of things, but yeah, if we can be short on this one.
I just want to say that you can avoid any items which are very heavy or heavier than average. Please do not bring them. Also, I would say that it's enough to take money, clothes for 1 week or 2 weeks, and that's all. Don't think to bring everything from your home. Of course, it depends where you will travel. If you will travel from hot climate country to the north of the US with a lot of snow, you need to think about warm clothes. Warm clothes can be expensive in the US, but even you can bring one jacket, warm jacket with you when boarding to the plane. For example, I traveled to Thailand from Lithuania during winter time. It was -20 to Thailand, where it was +30, with this warm coat, and put it in my packet after arrival. That's all. So you can do the same, but think about just one thing which you need badly after the arrival. The rest you can buy everything cheaper and even better quality. So that's all what I can suggest. Maybe Yulia can add something.
I just remembered, what's it called? Like the outlet adapter. You know, the outlet would be different in the US than in your country. So if you want to charge your phone, bring it. You can buy it, absolutely, you can buy it in the US, but it will just save you some energy and stress if you bring one from your home country. Yeah, that would be one thing from me.
I would say, from my experience, food. That's a lot of students tend to bring a lot of food, a lot of utensils from home. I mean, if you would live, for example, in a place that you will rent yourself, of course, it makes sense maybe to buy some stuff. But if you're gonna live on campus, then maybe it's not making sense to bring so much food with you in your luggage. So yes, think about those things that you really need badly, as Victor and Yulia said. Okay.
Yeah, and regarding food, be very careful, because customs, US customs, do not allow any meat to bring, and it will be a big problem if they will check and find something. Yeah, it's a big fees, and to arrive and to receive this fee immediately, it's not a good for your profile as a student. So avoid any food. Again, I
think Victor disappeared a bit, right?
Yeah,
I read so. They got fees for at customs. Be very careful. Just avoid that.
Okay, thank you for this one. So the next question, and I've already listed it on the screen: how to choose the right courses in the first semester. Yulia already mentioned that that maybe some of you didn't choose yet your major. So maybe we can talk a bit about that. Otherwise, about how is the work maybe with the academic advisor, because that's with whom you would choose your courses. But if we can just mention that briefly, please. Thank you.
Yeah. General academic advisor is your point of contact here, but I would just encourage you not to overload yourself. If you feel like you're a hardworking person and you want to take everything at once, maybe don't for the first semester. You can do it start a second semester, but maybe for the first semester just give yourself time. Maybe take the least credits you can and try to sign up for some on-campus activities just to meet new people and just to build a new community to adjust.
Yeah, and I would want to add that first semester will be probably one of the most difficult ones because of the adaptation, just because you will need some time to adapt to the new atmosphere, to even American English, which can be Chinese or Indian accents. So it will be stressful at the very beginning. So don't overload yourself at the very beginning. You can do that later, definitely. When you feel you can and you feel your power.
Thank you both. Okay, one of the questions in advance. What are the biggest mistakes international students make before arriving in the US? That's
an interesting formulation. Before, I would just the visa one, maybe taking too long before booking a visa appointment, because even if you wait like 2-3 days, if you're too happy to receive your I-20 form, you celebrate for 2 days, your ideal interview date might already be gone. So here that would be one, but it's not an issue. As I said in the beginning, in most of the cases students get to request an expedited appointment and things are fine, but maybe waiting too long with a visa, that's the most popular I've seen.
Victor?
Yeah, it's a very general question. We can say on absolutely any topic, mistakes can be connected with buying very expensive tickets, for example, to the US. It is an art to buy cheap tickets. And sometimes people can overpay 4 or 5 times. I know that. I know what I'm saying. And sometimes you can buy air tickets to the US even cheaper than traveling inside Europe. It can happen. Again, we need additional session related to buying tickets for international travel. So there are many tips regarding that. Also, mistakes with medication, with prohibited items on board. Please review carefully all airline rules and behave appropriately at the airport, any airport, because airports is a special zone. You even don't know how many people look at you per 1 second. And if you will behave like, remember this movie, Mr. Bean arrives to the airport in America, and when he showed imitate the gun, so what happened? Even do not make any guests like that, because you will be immediately in the focus of security. And trust me that there is a lot of artificial intelligence involved. Cameras are everywhere, and your strange behavior will be identified immediately, even your emotions. So be very careful. We can talk about mistake very long time, so be more concrete, probably asking this question. Thank you.
Thank you. So then we can move to those questions that we have in the chat. One was from Sophia, and I think that was covered.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure. Or what? Oh, sorry.
Okay. I think we're losing you, Alina, but you're back.
Sorry, I'm back. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot see this question. Can you read this question? I cannot see it.
What is I-94 arrival record?
I-94 arrival record
Yes.
on F1 visa.
Yeah.
Well, so you would just arrive with your I-20 if you're an F1 student, and you would present your I-20, and that's pretty much it. But you also have DS-160. That is the visa application form that you complete, and you get a barcode that you bring to your visa appointment. But after that, you're pretty much done with that because you only need your I-20 form. It's different for J1 visa, but I'm pretty sure it's not the name. Victor, what's your input here?
I would say that I'll be very careful answering such questions because they do not belong to Education USA, and it's not a part of our responsibility to be 100%. I'm afraid to mislead you answering this question. So probably better to check this information through the immigration office. That is my answer.
I think
Also,
sometimes
also the rules they are very dynamic, and sometimes they can change every couple of months. So better to double check that before arrival. I agree with Julia's answer, which she shared recently.
If I'm not mistaken, this form is usually requested when the students arrive at the, filling out the security form. So basically,
The
when they arrive
declaration?
in the States,
So
yes, I think that's something for that.
So usually, honestly, I haven't had students fill in declaration for like past 5 years. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure about that. But like before, the airlines would hand out the declaration. Like you would sit in the plane, they would hand out the declaration, you would fill in the declaration. For now, I think it's not that common. But if you're asked to fill in the
Right.
declaration, of course, like asking, do you declare food? Do you declare like any amount of money? More than that, you would respond honestly. But for the past years, I haven't had experience with more forms. I
Yeah.
think that's
I also heard that they just refuse to use additional forms last time. So again, the best way is to check with Office of International
Immigration.
Admissions, who shared information regarding service, regarding visa. If you have this question, just to double check before your arrival. It definitely 100% know the latest updates because they deal on a regular basis with international students who arrive at campuses.
Great. Thank you so much for that. The next question, if I'm going to the US with my parents, should we pass TSA and passport control separately? Because we have different travel plan or together.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say my impression is that together. But again, I'm not 100% sure regarding TCA rules on arrival. So it's also a question probably should be better again addressed to the university.
Yeah, I agree that you have to address this question to university. Just like if we were to discuss it, it really depends. So, for example, if that's your, if you're coming to stay, maybe like it's your visa dependent, that's one thing. But if your parent is B1, B2 visa, and you are F1 student and your parent just coming, for sightseeing and they're going to be back to your country in a week, that might be a bit of a different thing because you have different purpose of travel. For you, it's education, and for the parent, it's sightseeing. But then again, you're coming together. So it would make sense for you to come to talk to the officer together and just explain to you, your two different purposes. But the statuses are different. You're a student and they're probably a tourist if it's a different visa. So that's why it's complicated. That's why we're like not sure, because it really depends. You have two different statuses. So maybe address this question to your international student office.
Yes, thank you. One more question here. I have a question about funds. I'm not sure if I'm reading it correctly. Do you have any funds from USA like Fulbright? My university study will start in fall, but in my country, local funds will result in December. I think I didn't get at the end the question, but I hope the person was asking about Fulbright.
Yeah, I think my interpretation is that the student is asking, whether there are any other funds like Fulbright, I guess. So as I understand, you already are accepted to the U.S. university, and you're wondering if there are any additional sources of funding you can get. So here, I would actually encourage you to book a one-on-one consultation with Education USA advisor, because that's funding related questions, that's financial aid related questions. Currently, if you are already admitted to the U.S. university, the first thing that we would encourage you to do is to talk to your university and try to negotiate more financial aid. And if there's no way to negotiate more financial aid that is institutional, then external funding. We usually have the list of websites that you can search to apply for external scholarships, but usually these are small amounts of money. That's why we tell the students that make sure that you apply only to the universities that can provide you with the funding you need. Other option is Fulbright, but Fulbright is a different calendar. If you're applying to Fulbright, then you first apply to Fulbright, you submit the list of institutions. Then if you're accepted for Fulbright, they would select the institution that you would attend. So for this one, just book a one-on-one consultation with the Education USA advisor. We will send you the links.
If you have Fulbright stipend, usually it covers all included. So in that case, again, it's unclear from your question what you would like to know. Just contact us for one-on-one, and we will have more time to explain you.
Yes, and just as specifying here that Fulbright is not a program run by Education USA. Usually different countries are run by different organizations, let's say. In Moldova, for instance, that's managed by the US Embassy. So you would have to look yourself for a Fulbright program. In case if you need assistance from us for your undergraduate or postgraduate studies, definitely you can schedule a consultation with us. You can go on our website, and that you can just fill out the welcome form, and that will redirect you to our calendar with the advisors, and you can just book a consultation, get the advice you need. Thank you so much, Yulia and Victor. I really appreciate your time, the presentation you have shown us, and I really hope that those who were today with us and stayed till the end, because I see there are people staying till the end, they've enjoyed this presentation as I did, and they enjoyed your advices. So if you still have more of them, and you are already the students of Victor and Yulia, I'm more than sure that you will address them. In case if you are a student that is going through a different program in the United States, then yes, you can also maybe ask for our advice. We would gladly help. So good luck with this new beginning in your life. We congratulate you. You did such a great job. And for those who will watch this webinar later, I really hope that this is also going to be useful for you, because this was a long one. And yeah, I already said that we tried to cover a lot of answers and a lot of questions. Thank you once more, Yulia and Victor, for your expertise.
Good luck to all of you with your travel and with beginning of your studies. And congratulations once again.
Indeed, congratulations. Well, that was a lot of work, and you definitely deserve this opportunity. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.